Pope Francis has died. The 88-year-old pontiff passed away just hours after he surprised many by addressing the Easter Sunday crowd at St. Peter's, even riding through the square in his famous Pope-mobile.
Just before the heartbreaking news of Pope Francis' death, a top Vatican official was suddenly arrested, leaving many people surprised. The timing was too close to ignore, and now questions are rising fast. Was this arrest connected to something bigger? Could there be secrets inside the Vatican that are finally coming out? The world is watching closely as the truth slowly unfolds. Join us as we explore what truly happened behind the walls of the Church. Whispers of secrets, the Vatican's hidden storm. The Vatican has been a symbol of peace, tradition, and religious authority for many years. Its walls, constructed with ancient stones and faith, have witnessed significant events in history. Despite its grandeur and the sound of prayers, there have always been hidden secrets that few are willing to talk about. Rumors of undisclosed problems have circulated within its corridors, becoming more prominent over time. With news of Pope Francis's unexpected passing,
the Vatican City, Pope Francis has passed away at the age of 88. Francis was elected to the papacy in 2013.
These rumors have escalated into a major scandal. The Vatican has always had a tricky relationship with money. Although the Church promotes humility and simplicity, its financial transactions have often shown otherwise. There have been rumors of misused funds, secret accounts, and missing donations over the years. The Holy City has faced troubling queries about hidden bank connections and real estate mysteries. Each scandal that emerged left doubt and disappointment in its wake. These scandals did not just impact statistics, but also deeply affected people emotionally. Many followers worldwide became suspicious about what was happening inside the Vatican. Confidence in the Church started to diminish as believers became more cautious. The Church's reputation, once positive, began to tarnish with each scandal. Although apologies were made and commitments were promised, the sense of unease lingered. After Pope Francis arrived, many people saw him as a new and refreshing presence in a place that had become stagnant. He was known for speaking openly, being kind, and showing a willingness to address long-held secrets. Some people felt optimistic about the potential for change, while others were wary of the consequences. Powerful individuals became uneasy when the Pope began to uncover hidden truths. Now, with Pope Francis no longer in his position, things seem uncertain. His death did not only create a vacancy, but also sparked a lot of unknowns. People are curious about what plans he had before his passing and who might have opposed him. Those who have been closely following the Vatican's journey are contemplating not just the past, but also the future. In private, there might be a silent competition for power. Confidential documents, personal finances, and undisclosed gatherings. What will be revealed now that the individual who attempted to deal with it all is gone? Who will succeed him? Will the new leader follow his footsteps or hide them carefully? There are rumors that significant plans were already underway, plans that had the potential to alter everything. However, it is uncertain if these plans will still be implemented. The entire world is observing and anticipating. People are paying close attention to every bit of information and every action within the Vatican. Things that were once kept secret may soon be revealed, or they could be concealed even more deeply. Only time will reveal the truth. One thing is for sure, the passing of Pope Francis has not just closed a chapter. It may have started a new one that is full of mysteries, decisions, and possibilities that could have a lasting impact on the Church. The mystery surrounding Pope Francis continues to deepen. People are questioning his true involvement and the secrets he took to his grave. The future of the Vatican is uncertain without him. The atmosphere in the Holy City feels tense. It seems like something significant is about to happen, and the world is anxiously waiting to see what unfolds. Who are the top Vatican officials involved in these scandals, and how are they directly connected to Pope Francis? The Becciu scandal unraveled. Cardinal Angelo Becciu was a respected person in the Vatican for a long time. He worked closely with the Pope and had a high-ranking position in the Catholic Church. He played a crucial role in making important decisions and connecting the Pope with the rest of the world. There was speculation that he could be a future Pope. However, his reputation started to decline when his involvement in a questionable real estate transaction in London came to light. The situation revolved around a former Harrods store in Chelsea. The Vatican bought a share in the building in 2014, and later decided to buy the whole thing by 2018. In total, they paid 350 million euros, way above the actual value of about 210 million euros. This meant they lost 140 million euros, money meant for charity. It was a surprising misuse of funds, especially coming from an organization that promotes simplicity and helping others. The property transaction highlighted serious issues with how Vatican finances were being handled. It wasn't just a bad investment. It was a complicated and suspicious deal that involved various parties. Becciu approved the transaction when he was in charge of general affairs, essentially the Pope's main assistant. The funds involved were meant for religious and charitable purposes, but instead they were moved through a web of financial middlemen and private accounts. One broker, Raffaele Mincione, managed a fund that oversaw the property purchase. The Vatican then asked for help from its bank, causing concern within the organization. Vatican police conducted a raid, leading to a scandal that escalated more than anticipated. As the investigation continued, additional allegations arose. Becciu was accused of sending significant amounts of money to Sardinia, where some of it seemed to go to his family. He was also accused of approving a payment of almost 600,000 euros to a woman named Cecilia Marogna, who claimed to be an intelligence specialist hired to assist in the release of a nun forcefully taken in Mali. However, a large portion of the funds were allegedly used for high-end items and extravagant trips. Both Becciu and Marogna denied any illegal activities or improper connections. In 2020, Pope Francis removed Becciu from his position and took away important privileges, such as voting in future papal elections. Becciu was upset by the decision, claiming he had always been loyal to the Pope. He tried to clear his name through a press conference, but the damage had already been done. The situation resulted in a significant trial in Vatican City, the first of its kind involving a cardinal accused of financial crimes. Becciu was among the 9 others being charged, which also included Vatican workers, attorneys, and finance professionals. The charges ranged from embezzlement and fraud to corruption, misuse of power, extortion, and interfering with witnesses. After 2.5 years of court proceedings and thorough investigations, the final ruling was announced. Becciu was convicted of embezzlement and received a 5.5-year prison sentence. He was cleared of some accusations, and his attorney plans to challenge the outcome. The rest of the defendants had varying verdicts, with some found guilty of specific charges and acquitted of others. This case was not only about a single building in London. It revealed the absence of proper financial supervision within the Vatican. It demonstrated how funds intended for charitable purposes could end up being squandered in high-risk ventures, unwise choices, or used for personal enrichment. Becciu sued the journalist who first exposed the scandal for defamation, saying the reports harmed his reputation and prospects within the church. The Italian court dismissed his lawsuit and ruled that he must cover the journalist's legal expenses. More investigations followed, with allegations that he backed a social organization in Sardinia managed by his sibling, which raised suspicions of further financial misconduct. Italian police intercepted private messages where Becciu claimed that Pope Francis wanted him dead. He expressed shock and disappointment at how fast he lost favor after being seen as powerful and respected. It now serves as a warning about the dangers of ambition, errors in judgment, and scandal. However, the Vatican not only harbors scandals, but also many dark secrets. Vatican's dark secrets. Becciu's situation made big news, but it's just one part of a bigger issue at the Vatican. Another problem came up that made it even harder for Pope Francis to fix the Church's money problems. Back in 2012, a strange situation happened with a Vatican official named Monsignor Nunzio Scarano. He was a financial analyst in charge of managing Vatican property. Scarano, a financial broker, and a former Secret Service officer were arrested for allegedly being involved in corrupt activities. Officials believe they attempted to illegally bring a large amount of money from Switzerland into Italy. The scheme was said to be well-planned and complex, using private planes and covert discussions. Originally, they planned to bring in 40 million euros, but later revised it to 20 million euros. Unfortunately, their plan failed and the money remained in Switzerland. Investigators disclosed that Scarano served as a mediator for people looking to transfer money to avoid taxes. Even though money laundering wasn't specifically mentioned in the charges, authorities emphasized the severity of the case. The involvement of a former Secret Service agent made the situation even more complicated, highlighting the intricate nature of the scheme. Scarano had two accounts at the Vatican Bank, one for his personal use and another for donations. Italian investigators started looking into transactions from both accounts. As soon as Vatican leaders learned about the investigation, Scarano was suspended from his position. The Vatican assured full cooperation with Italian authorities. At the time when people were getting worried about the Vatican's financial activities, there was an arrest made. Pope Francis, who was relatively new in his role, acted quickly by putting together a special team to look into the Vatican Bank, also known as the Institute for the Works of Religion. The team consisted of church members and a law professor from Harvard. They were tasked with thoroughly examining the bank's activities and proposing changes. At the same time, a recently established financial oversight agency published its first findings on money laundering in Vatican City. The report revealed a rise in reports of suspicious transactions, with 6 reported in 1 year compared to only 1 in the previous year. Out of these, 2 were being looked into as potential criminal activities. The Vatican Bank revealed its plans to create a public website and release annual reports in order to be more open about its operations. This move was seen as a positive step in regaining trust. The bank supports various Catholic groups globally and manages over 33 accounts with assets totaling around $8 billion. However, the issues went beyond just one bank. The Vatican had been under scrutiny for many years due to allegations of being secretive, lacking effective supervision, and mismanaging finances. The situations involving Becciu's trial, Scarano's arrest, and various questionable financial transactions highlighted the urgent need for significant reforms. It was not easy for Pope Francis to shine a light on the Church's finances. He encountered opposition from influential groups who preferred the traditional methods. However, the challenges and inquiries became symbols of his commitment to transparency and organization in the Vatican's financial operations. Many people saw Cardinal Becciu's downfall as a significant moment. It demonstrated that even high-ranking officials like cardinals are not exempt from following the law. The trial revealed the significance of being responsible, particularly when handling money intended for charitable purposes. The Vatican can no longer keep secrets hidden forever, as ongoing appeals and investigations show. Pope Francis's reforms are still ongoing, but stories of scandal have set the stage for a more open future. It will take time to rebuild trust, but each step toward truth is progress. But this is far from the end, as more scandals are still brewing and questions continue to arise about the mysterious coincidences. The Vatalic Scandal. Monsignor Lucio Angel Vallejo Balda, a Spanish priest born in 1961, played an important role in the financial department of the Vatican. He was the second in command in the department responsible for managing the Vatican's finances. Vallejo Balda was involved in Pope Francis's initiatives to improve the Vatican's economic systems. In 2013, Pope Francis created a group called COSEA to check and enhance how the Vatican manages money. Vallejo Balda was chosen to be part of this group and lead the administrative side. His role in COSEA showed that the Pope trusted him to help make the Vatican's finances more transparent and bring about positive changes. Vallejo Balda had a major change in his career when he got involved in the Vatalic scandal. He was arrested on October 31, 2015, along with Francesca Ciauchi, a public relations consultant who was on COSEA. They were both accused of giving secret Vatican documents to reporters, which is against Vatican law. Vallejo Balda confessed to giving secret documents to Italian journalists Gianluigi Nuzzi and Emiliano Fittipaldi during the investigation. The documents exposed financial mismanagement and corruption within the Vatican, damaging the Church's attempts to show a changed and honest image. Vallejo Balda said he was tricked by Ciauchi, accusing her of seducing him in a hotel in Florence in 2014. Ciauchi denied these accusations and believed Vallejo Balda was trying to shift the blame. On July 7, 2016, Vallejo Balda was found guilty by the Vatican court for stealing and sharing confidential documents. He was given 18 months in a Vatican jail, making him the highest-ranking Vatican official to ever be arrested and convicted for this kind of crime. He was first let out on house arrest, but was sent back to jail for breaking the rules by using a cell phone. After serving part of his sentence, Pope Francis gave Vallejo Balda clemency on December 20, 2016. The Vatican said the Pope had given him the benefit of conditional release, letting him go back to his home diocese in Astorga, Spain. This act of mercy matched the Pope's focus on forgiveness and helping people recover. Vallejo Balda is a member of a conservative Catholic organization called Opus Dei and holds a senior position within the Vatican's financial department. His connection to Opus Dei and his important role in the Vatican's finances made his participation in the scandal surprising to many in the Church. The VatiLeaks scandal showed how difficult it was for Pope Francis to improve the Vatican's financial systems. The release of secret documents revealed corruption and resistance within the Church's administration. However, the Pope remained dedicated to being open and responsible. After the scandal, the Vatican made changes to its rules to stop more leaks from happening. The law of 2013 made it a crime to share secret information without permission, which helped in punishing those responsible for the VatiLeaks case. The VatiLeaks scandal shows why honesty and secrecy are crucial in the Church's leadership. It also illustrates the ongoing battle between tradition and change in a very old organization. As the Vatican deals with these issues, the scandal will likely influence how it tries to be open and accountable in the future. Security breach at the Vatican. On a sunny Sunday morning in Rome on May 5, 2024, people who believe in the same religion gathered in St. Peter's Square to listen to Pope Francis say a prayer called Regina Caeli. Many pilgrims from various countries were filled with excitement as they waited for the Pope to give a message of hope and peace. However, things did not go as planned on that day. Among a group of people who were excited, a 59-year-old priest named Father Milan Palkovic from the Czech Republic went towards the security checkpoint. Wearing his cassock, he stood in line with other travelers, appearing as a regular participant eager to take part in the day's activities. However, when he went through the metal detectors, a strange occurrence unfolded. The security staff observed a strange interaction between Father Palkovic and another man in line. The priest seemed to give a bag to the man before going through the scanner, causing the officers to become suspicious and investigate the situation more. When they looked inside the bag, they found several weapons such as a gun, 2 knives, a box cutter, and a screwdriver. The discovery was concerning because the event was supposed to be peaceful and the place was considered sacred. Father Palkovic was quickly taken into custody and asked some questions. He said he had the weapons for self-defense while he was traveling. He also said the bag with the weapons belonged to the 60-year-old man who was with him, and both were taken in for questioning. They had come to Rome from the Czech Republic on a pilgrimage and had no history of criminal behavior. The finding was disturbing, not just because of the weapons, but also because of when it happened. It happened right before Pope Francis was supposed to speak to the crowd, which affected the atmosphere of the day. Security was increased right away, and the authorities started looking into why the person tried to enter. This was not the only incident like this. A few weeks ago, someone else was caught with weapons in St. Peter's Square. Because of these incidents, the Vatican had to rethink its security measures to make sure everyone at events stayed safe. While the investigation into Father Palkovic's behavior continued, the people who believed in him stayed in St. Peter's Square, not losing hope. Pope Francis gave his Regina Caeli prayer as planned, giving comforting and encouraging words. The events of the day showed the need to stay alert and be ready for unexpected difficulties, even in holy places. However, one thing that has surprised many is Pope Francis's response to these internal turmoils. What could this be hinting at? The Pope's response to internal turmoil. Pope Francis has encountered many difficulties during his time as Pope, including conflicts within the Vatican. He has made it a priority to tackle financial problems by making changes to ensure openness and responsibility. He has also been active in dealing with scandals in the Church, like arrests and misconduct issues. Pope Francis has been working hard to rebuild faith in the Church and to set a good example with his leadership style centered on responsibility and moral uprightness. Pope Francis made a big move to address financial problems in the Vatican by creating the Secretariat for the Economy. This new department was set up to make sure the Vatican's finances were managed well and to increase oversight of its resources. Cardinal George Pell was chosen by the Pope to lead this effort, showing his dedication to changing how the Vatican deals with money. The goal of these reforms was to stop money from being used improperly and to encourage openness about finances in the Church. Pope Francis thought these changes were important for protecting the Vatican's moral and financial standing. Pope Francis addressed not only financial changes but also responded to different controversies within the clergy. He publicly apologized during a general audience for the scandals within the Church, recognizing the pain they caused believers and the community. The Pope acknowledged that though scandals are unavoidable, Church leaders must work to stop them. His apologies showed his determination to mend the damage and rebuild the Church's image. Pope Francis faced criticism because of the arrest of Father Palkovich, a priest who was dealing with legal issues that worried the Vatican. The Pope quickly responded to this by stressing the need for fairness and responsibility. He assured that the Vatican would work closely with the law enforcement and that those who were proven guilty of misconduct would face consequences. This showed his strong commitment to upholding the Church's integrity and ensuring that everyone followed the law. With his actions, Pope Francis has shown that he is willing to face tough problems directly. How did Pope Francis pass away, and what were the circumstances surrounding his death? Keep watching to find out more. Pope Francis' health and death. Pope Francis became the leader of the Catholic Church in 2013 when he was 76 years old. During his time as Pope, he dealt with a few health issues, but he showed great strength in handling them. In his younger years, he had surgery that required part of his lung to be removed. Doctors said his health was generally good, but they were worried about his decreased lung function, which made him more likely to get lung infections. As a result of the surgery, Pope Francis had ongoing health issues, particularly with his lungs. He frequently dealt with bronchitis and the flu, which made it hard for him to fully recover and put a strain on his health. Besides his lung problems, he also had issues with his knees and sciatica, which often required him to use a wheelchair, walker, or cane. These physical challenges were especially evident in 2021, leading to speculation that the Pope might resign due to his declining health. However, Pope Francis quickly addressed these rumors, stating that he had no plans to step down and would continue serving despite his struggles. In June 2022, Pope Francis had to cancel his trips to the Democratic Republic of the Congo and South Sudan because he needed knee treatment. He mentioned in an interview that if his health started affecting his responsibilities too much, he would think about resigning. However, by February 2023, he stated that he had no intentions of stepping down and would carry on as the Pope. In March 2023, Pope Francis was admitted to the hospital in Rome for a respiratory infection. Despite being sick, he was able to recover in time for the Easter Vigil Mass in April. Then, in June of the same year, he had surgery for a hernia, adding to a series of health problems he had been facing. Starting from 2022, the Pope had been using a wheelchair due to severe knee pain that required surgery. Many people noticed that his leadership seemed to slow down as a result, but disabled Catholics were grateful for his honesty about his health issues and his dedication to his position. Over time, Pope Francis's health got worse. He was hospitalized in Rome on February 14, 2025, for bronchitis. His condition quickly got worse, causing problems with his breathing. The Vatican said he was in critical condition and needed blood transfusions and lots of oxygen to get better. Just a few days later, on February 23rd, doctors found out he had kidney issues, but were able to treat it. However, his health kept getting worse, and on February 25th, he had trouble breathing after inhaling vomit during a bronchial spasm. He had to use a breathing machine for help. The Vatican said his condition was still not stable. Pope Francis started to get better by March 3rd when he was taken off the breathing machine, but he still had trouble breathing at times. His doctors were hopeful even though his lung infection was not completely gone. By March 19, it was announced that he no longer needed the breathing machine at night, which was a good sign for his recovery. The medical team remained positive, saying he was stable and making progress in his recovery. Pope Francis left the hospital on March 23rd and went back to his home in Vatican City. Doctors said it might take him about 2 months to get better, so he would have fewer official duties during that time. Even though he has been dealing with health problems, Pope Francis showed up in public for the first time on April 6th, He gave a touching blessing to the crowd that came to see him, showing his unwavering faith and resilience in the face of difficulties. Unfortunately, Pope Francis's health got worse with time. On April 21, 2025, which was Easter Monday, Pope Francis passed away at the age of 88 in his home in Vatican City. Cardinal Kevin Farrell announced his death on the Vatican's TV channel. Initially, the reason for his death was not disclosed, but it was later confirmed that he passed away from double pneumonia, a condition he had been battling for a while. His passing signaled the conclusion of a papacy filled with both successes and challenges, and people all over the world mourned his death. After he passed away, there was a 9-day period of mourning called Novem Diales, following Catholic customs. The Vatican started preparing for his funeral, which was set to happen 4 to 6 days after his death. Cardinals met in Rome to begin choosing a new pope. Pope Francis will be remembered for his humility, compassion, and dedication to the Catholic Church and its followers. Even with health issues, he continued to be a spiritual leader for many worldwide. His honesty about his health problems and his strength in serving others despite challenges made a big impact on believers. Pope Francis was a symbol of strength in his later years. Despite his physical limitations, he chose to remain pope, showing his strong sense of duty and dedication to his role. His death marks the end of a papacy known for compassion, reform, and support for marginalized groups. As the Catholic Church progresses, Pope Francis's teachings will serve as a beacon for future generations. His example of being humble and helping others will keep motivating people of different religions globally, making sure his impact lasts even after he passes away.